Shark Media. Hello and welcome to Ghost. This episode is titled The Unholy Requiem.
In the sleepy hamlet of St. Aldrich, overshadowed by the ancient spires of St. Augustine's church, a sinister tale was whispered. The church, a Gothic structure with towering gargoyles and stained glass that shimmered ominously at dusk, held a dark secret. For generations, locals spoke of an unholy presence lurking within its hallowed walls, a malevolence so profound that it blurred the line between myth and reality. Father Thomas, a young priest, recently assigned to St. Augustine's, found himself drawn to the church's enigmatic history. The villagers spoke in hushed tones about the church, their words tinged with fear. They told tales of strange shadows flitting through the nave, blood-curdling screams piercing the night, and a darkness that seemed to seep from the very stones of the building. The first night Father Thomas spent in the church's rectory, he dismissed the stories as superstitious folklore. But as darkness enveloped the church, an oppressive atmosphere settled over him. The air turned frigid, and a sense of dread crept into his heart. In the dead of night, a chilling sound echoed through the corridors, a guttural, mocking laughter that seemed to emanate from the bowels of the earth. Father Thomas, gripped by a fear he had never known, ventured into the church. The laughter grew louder, a cacophony that resonated in his very soul. As he stepped into the nave, the sight that met his eyes was one of pure horror. The statues of saints seemed to weep blood, their stone eyes filled with sorrow and pain. The air was thick with the stench of sulfur, and the crucifix above the altar was inverted, its figure contorted in agony. Suddenly, the laughter ceased, replaced by a voice, deep and resonant, that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "Welcome, Father," it boomed, "to the true sanctum of the fallen." Father Thomas, though paralyzed with terror, felt a surge of divine duty. He began to recite the Lord's Prayer, but his words were drowned out by a chorus of screams, the lost souls bound to the church, victims of an ancient pact with the devil himself. The shadows in the church coalesced into a tangible presence, a figure shrouded in darkness, with eyes that burned like coals. The devil, in his most terrifying form, stood before Father Thomas, a wicked grin on his spectral face. "You cannot save them," the devil hissed, gesturing towards the tormented spirits that writhed in the shadows. "They are mine, as this church has been since time immemorial." Father Thomas, though gripped by an unspeakable fear, knew he had to confront this evil. "I will not let you have this sacred place," he declared, his voice strengthened by his faith. The devil laughed, a sound that echoed off the church's ancient walls. "Then try to stop me, priest. Let us see if your God hears you here." The devil's words echoed through the nave, filled with scorn and malice. Father Thomas, steadying his shaking hands, looked directly into the malevolent eyes before him. In that moment, a flash of divine insight pierced through his fear. He saw not the devil himself, but something else, something equally sinister masquerading in the devil's guise. "You are not the devil," Father Thomas spoke, his voice resonant with a newfound strength. "You are a malevolent spirit, a deceiver, taking a form designed to instill the greatest fear." The figure before him hissed, its form flickering as if disturbed by his words. "And what does it matter, priest? In this form, I wield the power to crush you, to desecrate this place." "But you are not the master of hell," Father Thomas continued, a sense of clarity washing over him. "You are a lost soul, corrupted and twisted, yes, but not the embodiment of all evil. You prey on the fears of the living, feeding off them to gain strength." The spirit, now clearly not the devil but a formidable demonic entity, laughed, a sound that resonated with bitterness. Clever priest. But it changes nothing. I have the power here, the power to torment and destroy. Father Thomas stepped forward, his faith a shield against the darkness. You may have power, but you do not have dominion. This church is a house of God, and as his servant I will not allow you to defile it any longer. The entity roared, a sound that shook the foundations of the church, but Father Thomas stood his ground. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I command you to reveal your true form and leave this place. What followed was a battle not just of physical might, but of spiritual endurance. Father Thomas, armed with his faith and the holy relics of the church, fought against the manifestations of the devil's power. The church became a battleground of good versus evil, with every prayer and sacred rite met with a terrifying display of demonic force. As dawn approached, the conflict reached its zenith. Father Thomas, exhausted and bloodied, clutched a crucifix, his last bastion against the overwhelming darkness. The devil, sensing victory, unleashed a final, devastating assault, a wave of infernal energy that threatened to consume not just the priest, but the very soul of St. Augustine's church. In that moment, Father Thomas did the unthinkable. He offered himself as a sacrifice, a plea to the heavens to save the church and the trapped souls. A blinding light filled the nave, a pure, divine radiance that pierced the darkness. The church shook as if in the throes of an earthquake, the stained glass windows shattering in a cascade of colors. The devil roared in defiance, his form starting to waver under the intensity of the light. The spirits of the damned, released from their torment, ascended in a chorus of ethereal light, their screams turning to whispers of gratitude. Father Thomas stood resolute, his body racked with pain as the holy light engulfed him. The devil's presence recoiled, shrieking in a blend of rage and fear as the light exorcised the darkness that had corrupted the church for centuries. As the first rays of dawn broke through the remnants of the stained glass, the unholy presence was finally banished. The church, though damaged, was bathed in a serene light, cleansed of its ancient curse. Father Thomas, weakened but alive, collapsed at the altar, his sacrifice having saved the souls and the sanctity of St. Augustine's church. The villagers, who had gathered outside, witnessed the miraculous event. They entered the church, finding Father Thomas and the signs of the night's battle. In awe, they realized that the stories they had feared were more than just legends, and that the bravery of one man had lifted the curse that had plagued them for generations. Word of the miraculous event spread far and wide, turning St. Augustine's church into a place of pilgrimage. People from all corners came to witness the sight of Father Thomas's battle with the devil. The church became a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of faith in the face of absolute evil. Father Thomas, forever changed by that night, continued to serve in the church, his experience deepening his understanding of the mysteries of faith and the ever-present battle between light and darkness. And so, the tale of St. Augustine's church and Father Thomas's confrontation with the devil became a legend, a chilling reminder of the forces that lurk in the shadows and of the courage and faith required to face them.
Ghost is a Calaroga Shark Media production, written and hosted by Alexander Ian McIntyre, produced by Mark Francis, executive producers Mark Francis and John McDermott. Portions of this podcast may have been created with the assistance of AI. Calaroga Shark Media.